Okay, so good evening. I would love to get started. There will be time for schmoozing and everything else afterwards. It's good to be here with a decent number of people in person and even more on Zoom. I love that we're able to provide the chance for people who can't make it out tonight. I love being in person too. My friends on Zoom, you will get to see and hear me. I do have some PowerPoint slides that's hard for me to share. So I'm happy to share them with you later, but really you're going to hear everything aloud that you need to hear. And let's see how this goes. It's our first time trying it. I do want to begin before Torah with basketball. And especially to celebrate the fact that not only did our team play Redbrook today and emerge not just as good sports, but as victors, which feels really good, which goes Scorpions. And it's beautiful to see some of the parents of the players, probably drove from that game straight here. So the dedication is amazing. So big shout out to our team. I didn't choose tonight knowing that it was a State of the Union. Oh, actually, I have to hit record first. Sorry. Oh, it is recording. Okay. We did not choose tonight as the date knowing that it was President Biden's State of the Union. It's a happy coincidence. Another happy coincidence is where we fall in this year's Torah readings. Last week, we read Parshat B'Shalach, the unforgettable moment of leaving Egypt, right? The huge miracle of the sea splitting and then closing on the Egyptians, that miraculous march to freedom. That was last week's story. This week's story is the journey towards independence and identity that we read about in Parshat Yitro. They go towards Mount Sinai. There they receive the 10 instructions or commandments, what really makes them into a people. So in our lives, we all like to celebrate, and we should celebrate milestone moments, even though what we really care about is the journey that follows, right? A baby is born, and we put a lot of thought into the Brit Milah, the Simchat Bat, the name, and all that special celebratory event for the baby. But of course, what we really care about is that they grow up happy and healthy with a connection to their family and their heritage and their people. That journey following the naming is what is really important. Same with celebrating our children's becoming B'nai Mitzvah, right? We justifiably put a lot of thought into that day or that weekend. We want to honor them for who they are, give them a chance to shine all the work that they put into preparing. But what we really care about, of course, is the Jewish adulthood that follows. That's the transition from B'Shalach to Yitro. And we are speaking this week in Parshat Yitro, which again is the Parsha not about the one moment. Mount Sinai may have been a moment in history, but what it really represented is a journey towards independence and learning and identity. That's what we're about as a school. We have plenty of great moments to celebrate, and we'll celebrate some of them tonight. But what we really care about is our children's ongoing journey towards their own independence, forging their own identity, becoming their own people. So here's the overview. I want to share with you highlights of Schechter's amazing story at this moment in the school's life. I want to share with you a few of the challenges and opportunities that we face. Weave things together into larger themes and visions. Allow time for questions and answers. And then at the end, in addition to some treats, we do have around the room, and parents who are on Zoom, they'll be here for at least the rest of this week if you're able to come in. Just some amazing samples of the work that our kids do from every single classroom plus the art room, just to give you a taste of what's happening in our school, because the true state of the school, which is so exciting, is seen not through my words, but through our students' growth and work. So let's talk first and foremost about how Schechter is doing as a school community. A colleague of mine, Rabbi Jordan Safer, has remarked only half jokingly that larger schools often like to talk about how they have a small school feel, even though they're so big. But small schools, we are blessed to come by it naturally, right? And it's true, it's a lot easier for us to be a tightly knit community than it is for a school of 300 or 400 kids. But you still need both a desire to connect and a way to do so if you want your small school to be a close community. we welcomed 21 new families to Schechter this year. And we didn't just say, oh, we're small, they'll feel right at home, right? We had this buddy program, which Lior Krinsky helped to facilitate, to make sure that all our families knew people. And their kids had familiar faces, and the building felt like a home to them from day one. The PA has been organizing meals, and I want to thank Karen Tuvin and Rachel Glantz for all they do to make our PA thrive and bring more people on board. Right? For sad occasions too, but thank God mostly for happy occasions. You know, we all know by now that if a baby is born and an email comes out, if you don't sign up to bring a meal in like 35 seconds, you're out of luck. That's our community. It takes work, but we're there for each other. We have an annual campaign, and really, with only the minimal amount of urging, we got to 100% participation among teachers and faculty and families. We are so grateful to the Kess family for the mugs that helped motivate us. We got there so quickly. That's a sign of our strong school community. And of course, we have further opportunities to get together, as I'll mention a little more later in the show, for Ner Tamid. That's another time when we all come together to celebrate. It's not just people who are currently part of the community that still feel linked. Earlier this year, we dedicated a new sukkah in memory of a former student, Joshua Silver. And the day we dedicated it, families who hadn't been in the building for 20 years came because they're still there for each other. That's the nature of our community and its strengths. And a little extra about the Shabbat program. Over time, our multi-age classrooms do connect each grade with the grade above and the grade below. But we, and I'm going to give a special shout out to Sarah Montag especially, recognize that beyond those adjacent grades, we could do better. And Sarah also noticed that every time we had a special all-school activity, we had to ask ourselves, who should be in which group? How can we make groups together? And out of these goals came the Shabbat program. We have 6 tribes, 6 Shabbatim in our school. They know each other. They get together every holiday to build something, to create something, to celebrate together. They sit together at Relish and find other opportunities as well. So the Shabbat program, one more example of how we don't just say, oh, we're a small school, they all know each other, but we work to link our students and families together. We are constantly working towards educational excellence. So I'll say a word about the first bullet point. We brought in an outside consultant named Charlotte to help us over the summer look at how we can make our classroom environments and classroom cultures facilitate the best student behavior. And how at times, if there's a student that's struggling, that again, the best way to solve it is not just by focusing on that student, but by looking at the classroom environment and the classroom culture and seeing how we can help use that to help get the students back to where they need to be. And then Charlotte worked with our whole school actually, again later in the year, because we know that a one-time drop in professional development speaker doesn't really accomplish what ongoing work does. Anat, whom we'll talk a little more about later, our Hebrew coordinator, works constantly to make sure that all of our Hebrew teachers have all the training they need, which includes both training in second language instruction and the specific curricula that they use. This year we had new chumashim donated by the Elephant family called Lev Ladat, which are being used in our 3rd and 4th, and especially in 5th and 6th grade classrooms to give additional resources to help our students realize that they can learn not just from their teacher, but on their own, that there are so many pathways to studying Torah. Our early childhood center is, again, always on this journey of greater professionalism and greater joy. They all come together in our EC. I'm always looking at ways to refine their practice and help all of our students, including our youngest ones, grow. This year, we realigned our multi-age classrooms, and the benefits have been significant so far, as far as helping match up with our curricula that we use a little more naturally, and helping the patterns that our students need to emerge better. That's supported our progress towards educational excellence. We joined a small school alliance for our middle school, especially grades 6 through 8. They're learning together once a week virtually with students from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Greensboro, North Carolina, and New Orleans, on and on. And this is all going to culminate in field trips to Alabama, to learn about the civil rights movement with their own eyes, where it all happened, and in Washington, D.C., and then ultimately in Israel. This alliance helps take our school forward. And finally, how our students learn to read. So for several decades, there's been an ongoing debate in the United States about how to teach reading, often described as either the phonics-based approach or a whole word and whole language approach. We had been using both. What do you do when you learn that there's a significant amount of research emerging, and actually some in the past that had gotten a little ignored, that really phonics-based approaches are essential to students learning to read? And the answer is, if you're Schechter, you move quickly to ensure that all your students are getting what they need. Sarah and I read articles. We listened to an in-depth podcast together. Sarah engaged a consultant to help train our teachers better and to switch our practice to fully phonics-based reading. We've identified a curriculum for next year. After they master phonics, and they'll get to use nice decodable books that we're buying, they're going to go on to read all kinds of books, and we'll still engage with the exciting model of Writer's Workshop, but only after the reading mastery. It's not just about curriculum, it's about instruction. And so we're training all of our elementary teachers, all the way up through Alim, 3rd and 4th grades, to be reading instructors. We are helping our students to become readers using all the tools that we know will help. For more about this, if this is an interest of yours, if you're curious about it, we will be having a parent coffee and conversation later in the year to hear more. But I wanted to highlight tonight our work on the all-important skill of helping all of our students learn to read. So that previous slide about educational excellence, it came first for a reason. If our students aren't learning skills and knowledge, and if their curiosity isn't nourished, if they don't experience that learning can be fun, then we aren't fulfilling our basic responsibilities as a school. But at Schechter, we want more. We want our students to feel a sense of agency, that they can make a difference in their community and in their world. Now, in a small but important way, our middle school arts electives help them to do so. They shape their own learning. And we want them to see themselves as leaders and to give them opportunities to step up and accept meaningful responsibilities. So obviously, being on student council is one way of doing so, and it's not the only way. So last year, Sarah was reflecting on the fact that the administration often found ourselves asking these questions. We have a prospective student visiting, who can welcome them? Or other guests coming to a special event, who can welcome them? Who can represent the school to the outside community? Who we would look for students with natural poise, but we weren't doing anything to help all of our students develop these skills and that attitude of welcoming. So this year, Sarah developed the Student Ambassador Program. And they applied, they've gotten some training, how to give a tour, how to introduce yourself. They step up when we have guests and special programs. They're proud of what they do. They put Schechter out there in beautiful, beautiful ways. Just one more example of how we're trying to create more and more opportunities for student leadership. Israel education is as important or more important now than it's ever been. And the environment has only gotten more challenging. We know the attitudes of the world towards Israel. We know that there are extra challenges posed for all kinds of reasons today. We at Schechter have two basic goals. Number one, we want our students to see Israel as one of their homelands. And two, we want them to see Israel as an amazing country on the global stage. As our home, Israel is essential and important and must exist and defend itself. And as our home, we know that the story is complicated. There was once a common saying in Jewish education, in Israel education, that Israel was a land without people for a people without a land. We know that isn't true. We want our students to see the Jewish people as their family and the land and the state as a home, and to know that other people have lived there and have a connection to it too. And we can love our family without thinking that they're perfect. And we can have a home that is ours, but not solely ours. That's the complexity we seek to share with our students. And as I said, Israel is an amazing country on the global stage. We want to celebrate the things they do, like inventing drip irrigation and coming to the rescue when there's an earthquake in the world, and for its legal system. We can do those things through curricular work, but they're more powerfully achieved when elements of the entire school culture come together and are infused with Israel. So we have a new curriculum for grades 3 through 8, which will introduce various topics in an organized way, helping our students learn. We're renewing our work with the I Center, which exists to help places like us put Israel in all kinds of beautiful ways naturally all over the curriculum. And we have been working on parent education. We did a parent coffee earlier this year, and we had an Israeli poetry night just last week. We believe that Israel education is not just alive and well, but is growing and thriving at Schechter this year. Diversity and justice. So one easy way to point to how we try to teach these all-important values comes through our special days and special programs, right? Indigenous Peoples Day, which has replaced what used to be Columbus Day on our calendar, students in all of our classrooms learn about the Native people of America. Sig was a holiday, originally an Ethiopian Jewish holiday, that it has since become an Israeli Jewish holiday and is now spreading more in the American Jewish community, and for good reason. We observed it beautifully at Schechter this year, and in doing so, connected our students to a diversity of Jewish practice and Jewish background that we only want them to encounter more of and more of as the years go on. We are open on Martin Luther King Day, not because it's any other day, but because we want a day of learning and action that brings it to life. And our students left the school to go volunteer. Our students in school studied and learned and created to really take in and bring to life the values that Dr. King stood for. But while it's easy to have special days and special programs, and while it's also worth mentioning that our middle school curriculum is full of a lot of work on issues of diversity and justice, we also know that you can't wait until middle school. And Robin Werner, our EC director, is passionate about these questions. And one of our problems as a result was a book problem. How do we make sure that the books that our earliest students are exposed to and love hearing and learning from reflect all of our values? With the help of an EC parent, Christina Gray, we generated an amazing list of books for our classrooms that we're starting to buy and acquire. They're not preachy, they just offer a natural way for our students to see and understand and respect and love all people, all types of families, etc. So we're proud of our special programs, and we have ongoing work for our youngest students and on to help them grow with the values of diversity and justice. We know that family programming is a huge part of what we do at Schechter. I'll just point to some of our programs this year that have been highlights: our Ilanot Havdalah, Alim's new Rosh Chodesh program, where they learned how to chant and lead Hallel, the traditional 6th grade Nevatim Talit program, which took place only weeks ago. We have upcoming programs, including a special mention of our panel on technology and screen time with really great panelists on February 26th. And the Anafim Midor Lador program. So I can see both in this room and on Zoom, several Anafim parents. If you weren't there, all I can say is imagine walking into a room and experiencing a program that unites social studies and math and family history and Torah study and intergenerational learning. Students and parents shared family stories, brought in heirlooms, they created unique family trees, and they all left with a greater sense of connection to their family's past, to other families in the room, to our collective story. So these have been a quick walk through some of the highlights of Schechter this year. I want to talk a little bit about trends. We have beautiful enrollment growth, and this is due to all of us telling Schechter's good stories, but I want to give a special mention to Karen Shakin, who works so hard every day to help find those families who are walking around West Hartford or streets far away from us, and helping them to see themselves as being home here. The next slide will offer some numbers. It's the kind of chart that isn't really good for this kind of presentation, but I tried to design it so you can see the clear pattern. That over the last 5 years of enrollment data, in each grade, you will see some white squares and some blue squares. And the blue squares just represent a double-digit grade, and you'll see how our school's been growing. But before I get to that, I want to mention, right, it's not just about recruitment, it's about retention, but making sure that our experience here is good for our students, so good that our kids come home so happy and thriving that parents say, yeah, this is where I want to be. Our retention percentage has been growing over the last few years in a steady trend. And that's an outstanding thing to point to. It's a tribute to our amazing staff who's able to accomplish so many good things with our students. And the final note is the beautiful religious diversity of our community. We know that going back 20 years, our school was, the affiliation rate was really strong majority of the conservative synagogues. And we're much more diverse now. I think that's a good and healthy thing, including families from all different streams of Judaism and those who have not yet joined any kind of organized synagogue or community. We're their Jewish home. That diversity speaks powerfully to the appeal of our model and what we do with our students. So here's that chart. I can share it with you if you want to see it at a different time. All I'm pointing out is it goes from 2018-19 up until this year, and blue boxes are double-digit grades. And you can see the beautiful story of our school's growth through both good recruitment and through strong retention. May we continue to grow. Those numbers are important. The school also has to put a fair amount of focus and work into financial stability. I want to just mention, among those present again here and on Zoom, are the members of our board of trustees. They take all of their responsibilities seriously, right? Fidelity to the mission and long-term planning and giving me the feedback that I need to succeed. And their responsibility as fiduciaries to make sure that the decisions we make are in the proper interest long-term of the school. And also to Marco, who manages our budget and makes sure that we use the resources that we have well and wisely and carefully. And because of their work, right, we got through those years of lower enrollments, some of which you saw on that previous slide, all kinds of ways, including those federal COVID funds, which helped many small businesses and schools get in good shape. And we relied on those and thank God for them. But this year we have a balanced budget without those or any other extraordinary funds. And that's a tremendous piece of our good state of the school. And we've been working more to get grants. And I want to put a spotlight for a moment on the amazing work this year of Audrey Sobel, who has gotten us, I think it's 3 grants and counting, that will help add to greater strength and growth, right? Grants don't generally pay to keep the lights on. They don't let you do what you're doing. There are ways to let you do newer things, better things, bigger things. And each grant that we get is part of that journey and part of our story of not just greater financial stability, but the ability to do exciting things. So I want to share a little bit of exciting news and then talk about challenges and opportunities. So one of the concerns, one of those things that no one ever goes to become an educator for, right? You want to be a teacher, you want to be a head of school, you want to be an administrator. It was not because of school security, right? But we know that in our world, we all have to be experts on all these things. And we're proud of what we have, but we're always looking to make it better. Mutual Link is this new program that takes a lot of behind-the-scenes coordination. And Jamie DeBasella has done unbelievable work that I only understand part of to get us hooked up with a system that its primary goal is to give the law enforcement officials access, direct access to our audio and visuals, right? So that if we are in panic mode for any reason, they can hear our walkie-talkies, they can monitor our cameras. It gives them extra insight so that when they have to respond, they'll know exactly what's happening. Cybersecurity is also a concern for businesses and schools around the country. And Jamie is working hard to get us the kind of protection that we need against those kinds of threats. And Audrey helped us to obtain a new grant that's details to follow, but we're going to use it to make the whole building safer in new and exciting ways. And that's going to include both special security film on all ground level glass. It's going to include some bollards to be sort of barriers by the circle doors. So all kinds of good protection, some that you'll see, some that you won't. Because again, it's not why we're here, and we never want to think about security. We want to know that it's there. But your children are our most precious thing that we have, our children. And so all these measures help make us safer and more secure. And we're glad that we're taking all these steps. And we want to focus, obviously, not just on protecting what we have, but creating more. So the Schechter community suffered a loss over the summer with the passing of former parent Scott Schoen. A makerspace design studio has been a dream of this school for several years, and it kind of got going and then kind of got pulled back. And it's going to be rolled out in a really exciting way, but a real way over the next few years. This is happening because Sherry helped me and Sarah to develop a vision in partnership. Yes, thank you, Sherry. More on her in a minute. In partnership with Ronit and Ben and Kareem and Maya Shoham, they're making a significant donation towards making this vision a reality. So more details will follow. All of them will be exciting, but it's part of one more great thing that we all have to look forward to, that our kids will benefit from, a place to come and create and design and bring their learning to life. But life does not come without challenges, which, if viewed the right way, are opportunities. We have all that exciting growth that I showed you, right? But the staffing that you need, I'll just skip back for a second, for the school on the left column is not the same staffing that you need for the school on the right column. We need to hire more staff and optimize that staffing for our larger class sizes. It's an exciting challenge, but it is a challenge, especially at a time when, as you may have heard, there's a nationwide teacher shortage. For all kinds of reasons, many teachers have left the profession. New classes of schools of education have not been of the size needed to fill all the holes. It's a challenging time. And we are determined to both be financially stable and sustainable and affordable to all of the families who want a Schechter education. So I want to rephrase these challenges and opportunities actually as commitments. First of all, we are so lucky and blessed to have our staff full of excellent teachers. These teachers choose to work at our school because they believe in our school. Now more than ever, right? Our teachers can find other places to work if they want to. And they come here because our culture, our values, our community is so powerful. We could not do what we do without them, and we are committed to having an excellent teaching staff. And we are equally committed to being financially sustainable and affordable. So I want to say a little more about Sherry's work. We would not have the resources necessary to make anything that happens, right, on all these previous slides, if it weren't for her constant hard work, which is driven by her love of our school. Halfway through the year, our campaign so far has raised over $500,000. We are well on the way towards our goal. And we hope to have continued support to finish the year strong, highlighted by our Ner Tamid Gala, which will take place on Sunday, March 19th at 2 p.m. We hope you will all join us to celebrate the school and support us so that our education can remain affordable for all of our families. So let's weave this together with a few larger themes and visions and then take some questions. This year's realignment, with kindergarten on its own and with middle school starting in 5th and 6th grades, but with a lot of support for those grades, that realignment has allowed for much better transitions from early childhood to lower elementary and from elementary to middle. We will be doing a limited but impactful amount of standardized testing later this year. We are constantly working to strengthen our Hebrew instruction. We are offering opportunities to get to know the administrators through parent coffees and other opportunities, and we are creating more opportunities for technology. All of these are things we believe in, but they have all been shaped by parent voices, by your responses. And I gotta say, you both, all of you on live stream and all of you in the room, who let us know how important Hebrew instruction is to you, who let us know that those transitions have been a concern in the past for you, that you want to get to know the administration better. Your voices have helped shape all of these things. We have been and want to continue to be responsive to data from surveys and informal conversations. We are committed to nurturing creativity. And I hope that this has emerged from all the small points that I mentioned tonight. And I want to say that it's already part of our DNA, but that we're looking to increase it. Now, in some schools, creativity is just about preparing students to get good jobs. I want our kids to get good jobs, but that can't be the only reason that we do something or care about something. In some schools, creativity is important only because it makes kids happy. And I agree, creating things makes me happy too, and I want our kids to be happy. But again, that can't be the only reason. So I'll share with you my perspective among many reasons that I care about creativity, is I actually view it as a religious imperative. God's first act was to create. The first thing the Torah says God did. And we are supposed to walk in God's footsteps. That is why we're here on this earth. And there are beautiful rabbinic teachings about how God does not want us to leave this world exactly as we found it, right? God put us here to leave it better. Our creativity, our creations are essential. And so all these future things, Purim Steam Fest that you'll hear more about, ongoing class assessments. This has especially been a middle school thing, right? How can we ask our students to show us what they've learned in a way that's deep, but also fun? The video studio that we're going to be introducing actually this year, to give our students chances with higher quality equipment to show what they know by making a video about it. These are all ways that are meant to bring to life this key aspect of creativity. All the learning that we enable and all the creativity that we inspire amounts to nothing if it's not shared. And helping our students to be leaders and sharers is a key piece of what's happening in Schechter now and will continue to in the future. It starts with a small thing. Many of us, well, some of us can step up to a microphone and feel right at home. And others of us step up to a microphone and we don't know what to do. I want all our students to have a voice. And so we've introduced morning announcements at Schechter, which for the first month or two I made, but now we went to 8th graders and now 7th graders, and they're all learning to be comfortable getting on and saying, good morning, Boker Tov, this is Orla Leshem with our morning announcement. I said Orla because she's this week. It's not just about learning to say the Hebrew date, although the Hebrew date is in the announcements, right? It's about helping our students to see themselves as, yeah, I'm somebody who can step up and speak out when the time comes. We're working on a culture of class greeters, so that if you're a guest and you walk into a classroom, someone comes up and says, welcome to our classroom, here's what we're doing. Student ambassadors I spoke of. The video studio is part of this also, because some creators are oral, but some of our best creators make small videos. That's part of life today. We want our students to develop those skills from now. And continued attention to writing. I don't want you to think that all this is going to come at the expense of learning how to communicate clearly in writing. We continue to work on that in all kinds of exciting ways. Again, all the learning, all the creativity amounts to nothing if our students don't love and know how to share it. So I'm going to close my presentation of the state of our school with this. And then again, we'll have time for questions and admiring in the gallery and schmoozing. There are so many partnerships that it takes to be on our journey of joy and creativity and learning and excellence. There are the partnerships with parents, which I'll get to in a second. Partnerships with teachers who bring this to life. Partnerships with the members of the administration who spend every day trying to support our teachers and helping them to bring things to life. The board I mentioned earlier, that partnership is crucial. But I want to come back to our parent community. And if you've heard me say this more recently, I hope you're not tired of it. It's a deep belief of mine that I just want to share. We know parents make a sacrifice to send their kids to Schechter. We know that. We live in an area with great public schools. We can all press the easy button and give our kids a decent education. Parents who choose to send kids to Schechter, you do a lot. You give up a lot. And that is a deep and powerful partnership. Out of it, the most beautiful things grow. Your ideas, your feedback, your precious children that walk our halls every day. We could not do what we do without our amazing parent community. And I can't say enough how grateful I am that you are all a part of it. Yeah, thank you. And I will close with this. If I began talking about the Israelites' journey to Mount Sinai towards, again, getting their identity and their independence, I'll close with what we learned from God creating the world, right? Which is that we need to see ourselves as being on a constant journey. The journey never ends. And we need to punctuate that journey, take time to take that step back, like God did in creating the world, and say, Ki tov, it's good, right? It's so easy to be focused on every day what's happening and what our kids came home with that day and what they ate for lunch that day and what they're going to wear for school the next day. I'm so grateful that we were able to come together tonight and try to take a step back and look at all of the things in the Schechter community about which we can say, wow, Ki tov, this is an amazing place. Thank you all for making it so. So what I'd love to do now is, if there are questions, take a few of them. It is easier for me to see the people in the room, but I will try to monitor the chat. And if the questions become like past a certain point, I'll just invite everyone to talk to me privately. And then I will have time at the end for some schmoozing, some snacks, and some admiring of our students' work. I just need 1 second. Okay. So first of all, to answer one question, yeah, we can send this PowerPoint out. I will arrange for that. Other chats that I want to make sure. Okay, good. No questions there so far. Okay. Any questions from the live audience? Things you want to hear more about? I talked for a while, so maybe you don't want to hear anything else. That's fine too. Riva.
Sort of like snap your fingers. It didn't take a lot of work, and there was one thing that you would like to see that's sort of new and exciting for the school. What would that thing be? Like your wildest dream?
Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Debbie. So the question that was asked, but I'm closer to the microphone. Okay, I have one thing on that. Yeah. So the question that was asked, if you couldn't hear it, was, right, if I could snap my finger and make one big thing happen, have an impact on the school, what would that be? And Elisa on Zoom said, more kids. So I will say that I view the enrollment growth as an outcome of the great work we do here, right? Like, yes, if I could snap my finger and get more kids, I guess I would, but really I think that the reason we've been growing is the good things. I want more good things. So what I will say is, I am most right now deeply excited about the potential of the makerspace, which will represent both chances to do sort of STEM type thinking and learn to use tools and build and design and code, and creativity. I'm very excited about the potential impact of that. And what I most want to see, and I know that I will because our teachers are good partners this way, is that it comes to life. And I guess the extra word I'll say there, right? We may all remember, not all of us are old enough actually, but I'm old enough to remember when computers first came to schools, and they came in the form of the school getting like one Apple IIgs, you know? And the whole school would like rotate through. You'd have your computer class once every week where you'd like, right? And we graduated to having a computer room full of Apple IIgs or whatever it was at the time, right? But it was a class. That's very different from now, where computers are a tool for learning, you know, once we get a certain age. So there's going to be that journey where we get this new capacity to create in our school. And there'll be some time where it's a little more contrived and small scale, right? I can't wait to get to the point where that kind of spirit permeates our learning, even more than it does now. Thank you. Okay, other questions? Easier ones are allowed to. Please.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, but I just want to again come back to my gratitude for getting to work in such a special place. Okay, so I'm going to say at this point, I'm not running out of here, right? Like if in 3 minutes you're like, oh wait, I wanted to ask something, like I'm sticking around. What I really want to invite you to do, and again, people in the room can do this now. People on Zoom, we'll try to make this available. We might move these to the front lobby in a day or two. What they represent is that I asked each classroom to compile kind of like the kind of display boards you used to see for like science fairs, right? It's like a trifold display board. I'm describing it for people who are not in the room, and to put just samples of student work on it to show the kind of learning that happens here. The goal is not to replace parent-teacher conferences, right? You might see your kids' work up, but that's not really the goal for today. The goal is to say like, okay, I'm a third grade parent. I know what third grade kids are doing, but let me see what those middle schoolers are doing. You'll see like the cool writing and algebra and science that they're learning. And if you want to see what our preschoolers are up to with the vibrancy and life, walk on over there. Like make your way around the room just to celebrate the amazing work of our students facilitated by our teachers. Thank you all so much for giving of your time on a dark and cold winter night. It's so good to be together. Laila Tov.